What if I told you that one of the world's funniest comedians owns a private car museum worth millions? Gabriel Fluffy Iglesias isn't just a comedy icon, he's a diehard Volkswagen fanatic with a collection so rare it's been dubbed the Fluffy Museum. Nestled in Long Beach, California, this custom-built automotive paradise is designed to resemble Volkswagen's iconic Wolfsburg factory. Inside, you'll find some of the most pristine and valuable Volkswagen buses ever assembled, each with its own story. Inspired by Jay Leno, Fluffy turned his passion into an investment, creating a collection unlike any other.
I call this the Jay Leno starter kit. So he says basically, hey man, if you like cars, you can invest in them, and when you sell them, if you sell them, you'll make money on them, but you get to enjoy your investment. It's like Bitcoin you can drive.
Let's take a look inside Fluffy's insanely unique $10 million car collection. Gabriel Iglesias bought his first car for $700. It wasn't a flashy sports car, not some high-powered muscle machine. It was a 1968 Volkswagen Type 2 transporter. That bus kicked off an obsession that would eventually turn into a world-class collection. But back in the day, it was just a cheap way to get around. Let's explore a little backstory on this car. Trying to make it as a comedian isn't easy. Iglesias struggled to the point where he lost everything: his home, his money, and yup, his beloved Volkswagen bus, repoed right out from under him. Most people would have let it go, moved on. Not Fluffy. Fast forward to today, and he owns at least 18 of these bad boys, fully restored, some retro modded, all in pristine condition. Even Volkswagen themselves have taken notice. This specific model is known as the bay window because of its single-piece front windshield. Earlier versions had a split window, but this one went for a clean, unobstructed view. The second generation of the Type 2 came with a 1.6-liter air-cooled flat-4 engine, putting out a whopping 48 horsepower. Yeah, not exactly a speed demon, but that's not the point. These buses were all about versatility. Speaking of versatility, you gotta keep watching. In the next car, Fluffy's taking things to the next level. We're talking about turning buses into fish tanks, so hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss more insane collections like this. Back to it. Inside, you had a simple black dashboard with a 90-mile-per-hour VDO speedometer, a tachometer, and a fuel gauge. Below the wheel were extra cup holders and gauges for oil pressure and temperature. Classic touches include the wood-trimmed steering wheel with the Wolfsburg emblem, a stretched wheelbase for better handling, and a raised ride height to make it more practical for all sorts of uses. Panel van, minibus, camper, fire truck, you name it. This bus could do it. Fish tank VW buses. If you thought collecting Volkswagen buses was wild, how about turning them into full-blown fish tanks? That's right, Fluffy took his passion for these iconic vehicles and flipped it into something completely insane.
That is sick! Oh my god! This looks so legit.
If you've ever seen the show Tanked, you know they specialize in making the craziest aquariums out there. So naturally, Gabriel Iglesias had to take it to the next level. But let's be clear, no rare numbers-matching classics were harmed in the making of these fish tanks. They were Brazilian-made buses, Frankensteined together with mismatched parts, already at the end of their road-going lives. Instead of letting them rot away, they got a second chance as jaw-dropping aquatic displays. So what do you get when you combine a VW bus with an aquarium? Pure magic. Imagine walking into a room and seeing a full-sized VW bus, except instead of seats and an engine, it's filled with fish swimming around. The craftsmanship on these things is ridiculous. The glass panels seamlessly fit into the body, and lighting makes the colors pop, and the water filtration system is hidden so well you'd think the whole thing came straight from the VW factory. These rolling fish tanks aren't just for show. They're functional, meticulously designed ecosystems. Of course, they've got the signature Fluffy touch, quirky, unexpected, and over the top in the best ways possible. 1950 VW Beetle Hoffman Edition. If there's one car in Iglesias' collection that is legendary, then it's his 1950 VW Beetle Hoffman Edition. This is one of the very first ones imported to the US by none other than Max Hoffman himself. You know, the guy who put Porsche, Mercedes, and BMW on the American map? Yep, that guy. This car is beyond rare. We're talking about one of the first 300 Beetles ever sold in the US. And Fluffy might own number 12. That's the kind of car history that makes collectors weak in the knees. He even jokes that he has more documentation on this Beetle than his own family. Not surprising when you consider how much paperwork it takes to verify a car like this. Under the rear, because it's a Beetle, there's an 1100cc air-cooled flat-4 engine putting out a massive 25 horsepower. Not exactly a rocket, but back in the day, it got the job done. A single Solex downdraft carburetor and a dual-pipe muffler keep it running smooth. This was also the first year Volkswagen switched from mechanical brakes to hydraulic ones, a huge upgrade. Let's talk about looks. This Beetle is finished in a beautiful light gray, which may be described by Volkswagen as pure gray or silver mist metallic. Inside? Reproduction fabric upholstery, dual glove compartments, and a classic batwing steering wheel. The 16-inch steel wheels keep it era correct, and those semaphore turn signals on the sides? Absolute perfection. If you've never seen one in action, they literally flip out like little flags to indicate where you're turning. For a car that started out as an economy vehicle, this thing is now worth a fortune. The Beetle went on to become one of the most iconic cars of all time, but these early models, they're like unicorns. Finding one, let alone one with this level of history, is nearly impossible. 2015 Chevrolet Camaro Trans Am. If you were rolling through Long Beach back in 2015, you might have spotted one of the slickest muscle cars on the planet, but not just any muscle car. This was a Trans Am Bandit edition, a roaring beast built to pay homage to the legendary 1977 Pontiac Trans Am from Smokey and the Bandit. Number 20 out of only 77 ever built, this beauty is pure nostalgia wrapped in modern muscle. It's got that signature black and gold paint job, complete with the massive gold Firebird graphics sprawled across the hood. The front grille and taillights scream 1977 Trans Am, while the shaker hood is a nod to the old school muscle we all know and love. Even the interior keeps things classic with Firebird wings stitched onto the door panels, giving it that unmistakable throwback feel. But don't let the retro looks fool you. This car is an absolute monster under the hood. A 6.2-liter LSX V8 engine roars to life with a deep, throaty growl, and depending on the setup, it churns out anywhere from 550 to a tire-shredding 840 horsepower. That's the kind of power that'll have you gripping the wheel for dear life. Because Fluffy isn't about that automatic life, this thing comes with a 6-speed manual transmission, meaning you have to earn every ounce of that power with your own 2 hands. Get this, each of the 77 Bandit editions was personally signed by the man himself, Burt Reynolds. With only 1,225 miles on the odometer, this car still looked brand new when it went up for auction at Barrett-Jackson's in Las Vegas back in 2022. Jay Leno himself even took it for a spin on Jay Leno's Garage, where Fluffy bragged about its raw power. Leno estimated it was pushing around 700 horsepower, plenty to get you into trouble if you're not careful. 2014 Chrysler 300 SRT8. Fluffy's Chrysler 300 SRT8 is a sleeper, an unassuming luxury sedan that hides a beastly heart under its hood. This isn't just a Chrysler 300, it's the SRT8. The high-performance version that packs a punch strong enough to leave sports cars in the dust. Fluffy himself loves this car for one simple reason: it doesn't attract attention. In Los Angeles, where flashy exotics are a dime a dozen, sometimes you just want something with serious power that won't make you a target for unwanted attention. The Chrysler 300 SRT8 is perfect for that. It looks like a classy luxury sedan, but step on the gas, and it'll remind you it's anything but tame. Under the hood sits a 6.4-liter Hemi V8 pumping out a solid 470 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque. That's enough grunt to launch this big-bodied sedan from 0 to 60 in just 4.7 seconds and reach a top speed of 173 miles per hour. Not shabby for something that can also take your grandma to church in total comfort. But Fluffy being Fluffy, he couldn't leave it completely stock. Nope. He added one feature that makes this car truly one of a kind: Lambo doors. That's right. The big, brawny Chrysler 300 SRT8 now has scissor doors that swing up instead of out. You don't expect to see something like that on a full-size American sedan, which makes it even more outrageous. Performance-wise, the 300 SRT8 is no joke. It shares its platform with the Dodge Charger, so it's got the same aggressive stance and wide body presence. The active suspension system lets you switch between comfort and sport mode, adjusting the ride depending on whether you want a smooth cruise or a tight, performance-oriented drive. The brakes come with 14.2-inch rotors up front and 13.8-inch rotors in the back. That's a whole lot of stopping power for a car that weighs over 4,100 pounds. Inside, this thing is all about luxury. Leather seats? Check. Heated seats? Check. A massive high-resolution touchscreen infotainment system? Absolutely. And let's not forget the insane 900-watt 18-speaker Harman Kardon audio system that'll make any road trip feel like a concert on wheels. Tesla Model S. By now, you might have thought that Fluffy's car collection was all about vintage classics and tricked-out muscle cars. Tucked away in his garage, alongside his iconic VW buses, is a sleek and silent beast, the Tesla Model S. Now Fluffy, a guy who loves his gas guzzlers, may not seem like the kind of dude to own an electric car, but when you've got a passion for automobiles, you make room for something that shook up the entire car industry. From the looks of it, Fluffy's Tesla appears to be one of the older ones, possibly from 2012. That was the year Tesla dropped a game changer on the world. A full-size luxury sedan that didn't need a drop of gas, could outrun some sports cars, and looked like it came straight out of a sci-fi movie. At a time when car lovers were still skeptical about EVs, the Model S did something no other electric car had ever done. It became the best-selling car in the entire country. That's like an underdog coming in and stealing the show on race day. The design is slick, with a smooth aerodynamic body that turns heads. No front grille? No problem. Tesla ditched it because, well, there's no need to cool an engine that isn't there. Instead, it sports a black plastic panel, giving it a futuristic look. Step inside and you're met with an interior that was revolutionary when it first came out. The dashboard is as minimalist as it gets, with a giant 17-inch touchscreen taking center stage. No buttons, no clutter, just one massive display controlling everything from navigation to climate settings. The Tesla Model S wasn't just about looking futuristic, it packed a punch under the hood, or rather under the floor. The battery pack, made up of thousands of lithium-ion cells, powered either the rear wheels or all four, depending on the model. The slowest version could still hit 0 to 60 in just over 6 seconds, while the high-performance P90D model, a neck-snapping 3 seconds flat. That's muscle car territory without the roar of a V8. 23-window 1956 Wolfsburg Edition Type 2. Now if there's one vehicle in Fluffy's collection that truly defines his love for classic rides,
For 1959 23-window bus. I got this bus about 3 years ago.
it's his insanely rare 23-window 1956 Wolfsburg Edition Volkswagen Type 2. This is the holy grail of VW buses, the kind of ride that turns heads wherever it goes and has collectors writing blank checks just to get their hands on one. When Fluffy picked this one up, it sent his financial advisor into a frenzy. These things don't come cheap. A pristine example like this can easily fetch over $100,000, sometimes a lot more. But can you really put a price on one of the coolest, most iconic vehicles of all time? Originally designed by Dutch Volkswagen importer Ben Pon, the Type 2 first hit the streets in 1950 and quickly became a cultural phenomenon. The 23-window Samba, introduced in 1951, was the Cadillac of VW buses. It was meant for road tripping in style, with massive windows that gave passengers a panoramic view of the world as they cruised along. Imagine rolling through the California coastline, sunroof open, with nothing but the sound of the ocean and that unmistakable air-cooled engine hum in the background. Speaking of the engine, the 56 model came with an air-cooled flat 4 that didn't exactly scream performance. With just 95 horsepower under the hood, it wasn't going to win any drag races, but that's not what this bus was built for. It was all about the experience. The joy of taking it slow, enjoying the ride, and knowing you're piloting a piece of automotive history. One of the most noticeable features of Fluffy's bus is its unmistakable split windshield, a signature of early Type 2 models. The interior is classic VW, boxy, simple, and full of character. Those 23 windows, they weren't just for looks. They turned the Samba into the ultimate sightseeing machine. The interior was equipped with light brown upholstery, a mohair headliner, and original window cranks and door handles to keep everything as authentic as possible. The Type 2 wasn't just a bus, it was a movement. In the 60s and 70s, it became a symbol of counterculture, freedom, and adventure. Surfers, hippies, road trippers, everyone wanted one. Today, they're among the most collectible vehicles on the planet, and Fluffy has one of the best. What makes his particular 1956 model even more special is the fact that it's a Wolfsburg edition. These early models were built in Volkswagen's original Wolfsburg factory before production shifted to Hanover. Only a handful of these exist in mint condition today, making Fluffy's ride an ultra-rare find. The 2018 Dodge Charger SRT Demon is one of the most extreme production cars ever made, packing a mind-blowing 840 horsepower under the hood. This thing was built for the drag strip. The heart of the Demon is a 6.2-liter supercharged Hemi V8, and on 100-octane race fuel, it cranks out a full 840 horsepower. If you're running regular pump gas, it only puts out 808 horsepower. That engine is paired with an 8-speed automatic transmission, and to make sure you get all that power down, Dodge threw in a trans brake, super sticky tires, and even adjustable dampers to shift weight rearward for maximum traction off the line. Performance-wise, the Demon is absolutely bonkers. It rockets from 0 to 60 in as little as 2.3 seconds and can rip through the quarter mile in under 10 seconds. That's faster than most supercars that cost 5 times as much. Dodge even made it so intense that the NHRA banned it from official drag races unless owners installed a roll cage. The Demon was built for straight line speed, not canyon carving, but that doesn't mean it's a bad daily driver, unless you don't like attention. Its wide body, dual stainless steel exhaust, and aggressive hood scoop make it impossible to ignore. Inside, you could strip it down to a single seat if you wanted, but for just $1, Dodge let you add the passenger and rear seats back. It's like choosing between a race car and a muscle car, and Fluffy probably had some fun with the decision before ultimately letting it go. Volkswagen ID Buzz. Fluffy's love for Volkswagens is legendary. His collection, which he calls the Fluffy Volkswagen Museum, is packed with classic VW buses, but when Volkswagen decided to resurrect the microbus in an all-electric form, you better believe he was first in line. Gabriel Iglesias became the first person in North America to take delivery of the VW ID Buzz. The ID Buzz cranks out up to 282 horsepower in its rear-mounted electric motor. The instant torque means this thing moves in a way that classic VW buses could only dream of. It comes with modern tech, power sliding doors, massaging lumbar seats, and a boatload of safety features to make this a next-level experience. For Fluffy, it's the perfect blend of past and future. The ID Buzz still carries that unmistakable VW DNA, from the two-tone paint job to the big friendly VW logo on the front. It's got that classic snub-nose look, reminiscent of the old-school microbus, but now with a smooth aerodynamic twist. It's even longer than the European version, with an American-friendly 3-row setup. One of the biggest selling points? It's electric. No gas, no emissions, just plug it in and go. The ID Buzz has an EPA range of around 231 to 234 miles, which is more than enough for a day of cruising down the Pacific Coast Highway, blasting some tunes, and living the ultimate van life fantasy. 2013 Audi A8. Compared to Fluffy's wild and wacky collection of Volkswagens and muscle cars, this 2013 Audi A8 might seem a little tame. But don't be fooled, this is still one serious ride. The A8 is a luxury sedan that mixes power, comfort, and tech in a way that few cars can. It's an all-wheel drive, full-size luxury sedan that's built for high-speed highway cruising. Under the hood, you've got 3 different engine options, and none of them are slouches. The base model comes with a supercharged 3-liter V6 pushing out 333 horsepower. Need more grunt? There's a turbocharged 4-liter V8 making 420 horsepower. But the real monster is the range-topped 6.3-liter W12 that cranks out 500 horsepower. The A8 doesn't just go fast, it does it in style. Audi's adaptive air suspension makes for a ridiculously smooth ride, and the Audi Drive Select system lets you tweak the suspension, steering, and throttle response to match your driving mood. Want a comfy cruise? Set it to comfort mode. Feel like pushing it? Switch to dynamic and let the fun begin. Inside, it's peak luxury. Leather everywhere, a high-end Bose sound system, and a massive MMI infotainment system keep you entertained on long drives. Fluffy might be known for his fun and quirky taste in cars, but the A8 shows he's got an appreciation for refined German engineering too. That's it for Fluffy's jaw-dropping $10 million car collection. Which of his VW buses would you want to add to your dream garage? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you loved this exclusive tour of one of the most incredible car collections out there, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more epic content, and ring the bell so you're always the first to see what's coming next.